Today, we will, as part of leadership series, we will be talking on how to improve your judgment using E5 framework. As a 21st century leader, we are operating in an inherently uncertain world. That's why we need to develop our faculty of judgment so that we can make difficult decisions at difficult times. We provide you with really a powerful set of guidelines, the E5 framework that will guide you to make effective decisions and use your good judgment. In this module, we will learn how to improve our judgment. Given the reality of today's complex and uncertain world, it is natural that leaders will have to rely on their own decision making faculties. We can never know 100% what is going to happen. There is always uncertainties and doubts, and so the point of decision making and the point of leadership is to play piece together the uncertain situation and make the difficult situation and difficult times to get the best possible result. For example, a football coach has to make the decision on whether to buy an expensive new player or not. The player is rising star, has a lot of buzz around them and could potentially transform the team. On the other hand, they might be just an expensive lame duck and never really contribute anything. What is the right way forward? There is no clear answer here. And so, in the high pressure situation, the coach has to rely on their judgment skills to guide them towards making the right decision. And here we can understand what judgment is really about effective long term decision making. It is about understanding how to get the desired outcome in the short and long term by making the difficult decisions. There is no precise science for making good decision, but what we can do is develop guides that can help us along the way and improve our ability to make difficult decisions in difficult times. In summary, the key point is to make good decisions by providing the right framework to guide us in the decision making process, and that's why we provide you with the E5 framework. E5 refers to efficacy, effectiveness, efficiency, ethics, and elegance. And taken all together, these provide a very powerful way of understanding a situation and guiding you towards making the right decision. It is important to note that the framework alone cannot make the decision for you. You should think of them more as set of tools to guide you on the right path. So let's look at them one by one. What is efficacy? Efficacy is the capacity to produce an effect. It refers the ability to move closer towards achieving the goal. For example, if your goal is to lead your team to launch a new product, but all you do is fill out forms, then you have having the low efficacy because filling the form is not going to move to be moving closer towards your idea of building innovation in the team. So the first step is always to ask, are we going the right direction? This leads us to effectiveness, which is the second point. The leaders need to consider the effectiveness of something in order to be able to understand, is it making a significant contribution towards the goal? Does it really work, or is it just a bit half? That is different in terms of to efficiency. Efficiency is about the return that you get the bang for your buck. For example, if you invest $1 million into producing a product that produces 1.2 million, that has an efficiency of 20%, your return is 20%. However, if you were to find a way of investing 5 million to make 5 million in the same amount of time, then the efficiency is a much higher because you have a much greater return. Point about efficiency is essentially getting most output for the least input, and it is slightly different for the effectiveness because you can have a very efficient process that is not very effective. It is important to make sure that a leader you need to be mindful of all three of these. Traditional management of process approaches are very process focused. In other words, they prioritize efficiency above everything else, and they prioritize efficiency over everything else. And though that can be very powerful tool for minimizing cost and maximizing profit, it doesn't mean that in the long term it can result in some very misguided decisions as we seek to improve the short term at the cost of the long term. So one of the important things is to recognize here is that as a leader, you need to be aware of these two domains of efficacy, effectiveness, and efficiency. Don't just be tempted by the siren of efficiency just because you can produce some great looking statistics and reports by showing you have improved results by 200%. Doesn't mean that you are actually producing effective results that are useful. So we have covered those three. Now it's time for ethics because as a part of your decision making process, you need to ask yourself, is this ethical world of ethics is a gray world in the series that there is no absolute right or wrongs. The lack of absolute certainty in ethics has led many people to dismiss it as just subjective and therefore irrelevant because it is not as important as hard-nosed efficiency and management. This is a complete myth, and as we have seen from the catastrophic corporate scandals and government scandals over the last few decades, we can see that without if ethical integrity, how we cannot have trust in our organization and they cannot function properly. So it is important to make ethical decisions, an important part of overall decision making framework. If you are going to make wise decisions, the other aspect around ethics is realize that it is the crucial part of sustainability. Sustainability is not really about painting the world green and planting lots of trees. Sustainability is an ethical concept. It is about drawing boundaries, about limited limitations of our behaviors, and agreeing with others to limit the way that we engage in the world around us so that we have less impact upon it. So, if you want a quick guide to how to be ethical, pause and ask yourself, is this something that I would tell my mother about? That might sound a little bit strange, but if you think about it, most ethical decisions are something that you would be happy or proud to tell your mother about, whereas most unethical decisions are something that you probably won't tell your mother about. So, if it is something that you might not want to tell your mother about, take a moment to pause and think it is really the right decision. That leads us to the final point, elegance, which is does it impress with the grace and ingenuity? Again, the traditional 20th century Minor's approach would consider elegance as irrelevant, and that, of course, has a certain truth if you are trying to maximize profit. But this is the 21st century, and as we have seen with organizations such as Apple, elegance has become crucial for success of products and for services. And so, one of the reasons why Apple is so incredibly successful is because their products are incredibly elegant, far more elegant, in fact, that than anything else, and that their competitors are able to make, and that supplies them with an overwhelming lead in their marketplace of mobile phones and in the tablets. So, why should elegance come into decision making? Because if you want to build something that impress people, that people get excited about, that they engage with with and say that's really awesome, and then you need to consider elegance as part of the equation. A good way of think about is the efficacy, effectiveness, and efficiency are about making something that works well. Ethics is about making something that is about the works that works right. It is good for the world, whereas elegance is about making something awesome. It is about taking it to the next level from taking it from average to excellent, investing in making sure that your decisions and their outcomes are elegant will supply you with a long-term benefit. So what we have done here is go through the first column, which is ask yourself, will your decision, and then we follow the column down. But as part of being wise leader, we have to recognize that we are also always inherently going to be trapped in our own reality bubble. So we need to have the courage and the humility to step out of the bubble. And that means asking other people for their perspectives. Again, this is something that might be shocking sometimes for the 20th century managers, but as a 20th first century leader, it is important to imbue that sense of humility and recognize that you do not have all the answers. So have the courage to ask the people that around you. And the second column, do you think that this is the right path? Are we? Does it has a efficacy? Is that important? Does it matter? It is a significant contribution? Is it effective? Perhaps you think that something is highly efficient, but from the person's perspective, they have might recognize that you are missing an important part of the equation. So that will require you to rethink your judgment. You might think that an action is ethical, but we also have a tendency to justify our own actions to ourselves. And so don't get caught up in our own bubble. Ask other people to be honest with you. And so say, do you think this is the right thing to do? And then finally, elegance. We think the best way to capture that is simply to ask, do you think this is awesome? If something that has a grace and we and ingenuity in it, then people will instantly captured and engaged by it, and they will be able to say yes to your question. Then finally, step three, the thing about decision is that you have to actually make them. There is no point messing around and delaying a decision forever. At one point, we are going to have to make it. So once you have gone through the step one and step two, make the decision at the right time. This is also difficult to do because you need to make the right decision at the right time. Don't make the decision too quickly, because also don't make the decision too late. This can be summed up very neatly by asking yourself, is this the right time to make the decisions? Do not be afraid of saying, I do not have the right information that I need to make this decision effectively, or I am being too rushed to make this decision. If you need to delay decision, then do that. But on the other hand, do not wait forever to make a decision. If a difficult decision needs to be made, then make it, because often there is no advantage of delaying it, and a lot of damage can be caused by taking too long to make the decision. So, what do you need to know to do? You need to identify first one difficult decision that you need to make right now. Step two, use the E5 framework to map out the context of decision, which really takes the time with this. It is great practice to build that awareness, because the bigger danger is that you only focus on one dimension. For example, if efficiency is the cost of, maybe ethics, elegance, and even effectiveness, and then step three, make sure you make the right decision at the right time. As an important part of leadership is making the right decision at the right time, and you need to be aware of that rather than simply just rushing through decisions to tick them off your to-do list. In summary, what have we learned in this module? We have learned that it is important to use your judgment to make difficult decisions. You cannot always have a clear right answer. You need to invest in building your judgment capacity, and you can use the E5 framework to help you make the right decision in difficult times. As a decision maker, you all will always need to justify your decisions, so make sure you have the good reasons for making your decisions. This will be particularly important around ethical decision making. I strongly recommend that you take the time to incorporate the ethical dimension into all aspects of your decision making. Not only is unethical decision making poisonous and corrupt the performance of your team, it is also reduces your credibility and respect as well as cutting to the very heart of the leadership. Because why you are looking at as a leader, it is simply to enrich yourself. Are you working to build better outcomes for your team or for your organization, for your community? If we are apt to be true to our goal of making things better for all then we need to incorporate ethical decision making into our framework. It is as simple as that. A better world is the ethical world.